welcome back to Riding the Pine. This is a review of Game 49 of the 2020-21 Chicago Blackhawks season. Tonight, the Chicago Blackhawks fell to the Tampa Bay Lightning by a score of 7-4. But before we get to the review, if you could do me a really big favor, hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Helps us out a lot. Also, hit that notifications bell so we will have to come looking for you. You won't have to come looking for us. You will know exactly when we upload, as you will get a ping notification on your device of choice. Now let's just get straight into the review. I am flying solo tonight, or today. I'm actually recording this on Tuesday, or excuse me, Wednesday. And Joe, I think me and Joe both are kind of burnt out a little bit. And last night's game was pretty bad. And Joe kind of bowed out midway through the game and needed a little bit of a break. I still wanted to get you guys a review, though, so I just decided to wait and do it in the morning. And that is when we are doing this review, or I am doing this review. So, with that knowledge to you all, we will get into it. So, the big news that really kind of came out of this game is that Adam Boqvist suffered a broken wrist. It has been announced today that he does not need surgery, so that is a positive. But I kind of view this as a blessing in disguise, personally. I am not very high on Adam Boqvist, and I kind of want to see what Ian Mitchell can do. I want to see what Nicholas Beaudin can do. I would much rather them be in the lineup as we end the season here. So I think it is a little bit of a blessing in disguise in that regard. Um, Continuing on the positives to take from this 7-4 loss, Brandon Hagel picked up his 8th of the season. What a season Brandon Hagel is having. Kirby Doc picked up his 7th assist. Duncan Keith scored, got his 4th of the year. Wyatt Kalynuk also his 4th goal in, I believe, his 15th game, 14th or 15th game. What a stud Wyatt Kalynuk is. I told you all at the very beginning of the year what a stud he was going to be. Why, I berated Colleton, I berated the Blackhawks organization for not playing Wyatt Kalynuk, and now you see why I was doing so. Vinny Hinostroza again picked up another assist on Duncan Keith's goal. Hinostroza continues his hot start as well. Dominik Kubalik scored the final Blackhawks goal with Patrick Kane picking up an assist along with Alex DeBrincat. I want to talk a little bit about Kubalik. This was a power play goal that he scored tonight, and it was a rocket shot, a crank it shot. And let's face it, folks, that's all he does. That's all he does. He needs to go. Dominik Kubalik needs to be traded. He is not a good player. He just isn't. Everyone and their mother can say, "Oh, what's going on, Kyle? You say the Blackhawk needs scoring, and now you want to trade a 30-goal scorer." Yeah, I do. You know why? Because number one, I don't think he's a consistent 30-goal scorer. He's not going to score a 30 every year. And then if you look at this season, he doesn't score 5-on-5. He only scores on the power play. Now, sure, you want, a guy that can score on the power play, but for the amount of money that he is going to later command after next season, he's not worth it. Next year's draft is fucking loaded. And when I say loaded, I mean loaded with talent. The top 10 picks arguably would normally, like the first 3 picks could all potentially be first round picks in any other draft. For like first overall, rather. Sorry, not first round. For first overall. You could even say potentially the first 5 picks in the draft could be first overall picks in any normal draft. That tells you how deep this draft is. Okay. Like the 10th overall pick is like a guy that's being compared to Andrei Svechnikov in Carolina, who's an emerging superstar. That's the 10th overall pick in the draft in 2022, the projected 10th overall pick. So the Hawks, if you're a Blackhawks fan, you want them to suck next year. You do. Because you see where this team is going. You see the youth they have. You see the development that they have. Now, when I say you want them to suck, that does not mean you want them to be like dog shit to where they just don't have anything. You want them to progress, but you want them to lose game in and game out. You want a high pick. Ideally, you want more than one high pick. So hopefully Bowman can find a way to add a second first-round pick next season. I don't know how, but hopefully. Next year's draft is huge for Chicago. Obviously, this year's draft is pretty big as well, but next year's, I think, is even bigger because of the enormous amount of talent that is in that draft. Enormous amount of talent. So yeah, to me, I'm trading Kubalik. Like he doesn't fit this team. He really doesn't fit any team. He's not an NHL player. I'm sorry, he isn't. Like I haven't went on a Kubalik rant in a while, and I know a lot of people don't like the fact that I called Dominik Kubalik an ECHL superstar, but that's what he is. Dominik Kubalik is an EHL 110-point superstar. That's what he is. He is not a legitimate NHL player. I promise you, if you trade Kubalik, he will not be as productive as he has been in Chicago. He is not that good of a player. He doesn't play defense. He has no idea how to play a two-way game. And he doesn't do anything except score on the power play. And when you need him to score, this is a team that is one of the top 10. I'm being facetious here. I don't think they're quite top 10, but they're just outside of the top 10 for being at the bottom top 10 teams or bottom 10 teams in the league for scoring. They're one of the worst offensive teams in the league. Now, Mark Lazarus and Scott Powers and all of these fucking know-nothing beat reporters can continue to bitch about the defense. Do the Blackhawks have a number one defenseman? No, they don't. Do they need one? Probably eventually. Is that the biggest need on this team? No. You do not win hockey games if you can't score. They have to be able to score. They scored 4 goals tonight. 2 of them were from defensemen. One of them from a defenseman that has scored, I think, 6 goals in the last 2 years. The other's a 14-game rookie. 2 defensemen. Come on. One of the other ones, Dominik Kubalik. On the power play. That's what he does. We have to start finding guys who can score. If we don't start bringing in players who can put the puck in the back of the net, the defense is irrelevant. And that's the other thing, everyone's jumping on Kevin Lankinen. Kevin Lankinen's struggling. Kevin Lankinen needs to be better. Blah, 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 blah. Have you seen this team lately? Was Malcolm Subban any better? Like, I tell you what, man, like these beat reporters, and I feel like that's like, oh, he's not Corey Crawford. So we got to find the next Corey Crawford. No, we don't. We need a goalie who's better than Corey Crawford. Look, I know a lot of you are Corey Crawford simps and stans. That's fine. But the reality is that Corey Crawford, for about the last 5 years, 4 years for sure, of his Blackhawks career, was awful. One of the big reasons the Hawks made such a huge leap this year, there were 2 reasons. One, Matthias Janmark and Carl Soderberg, the two-way play of those two guys made their defense, it made the forwards better defensively. That was huge. The other, Kevin Lankinen, was far superior to Corey Crawford from last season. Those were the 2 areas or the 2 things that made this team competitive this year. The two-way play of the forwards, namely the additions of Matthias Janmark and Carl Soderberg, and then the play of Kevin Lankinen in net. Kevin Lankinen was a stud when he first started this season. A stud. Vezina-like numbers in his rookie season. And then everybody went, oh, well, and then like these beat writers run their stupid mouths. And then we have a bunch of people on Twitter. Oh, the Blackhawks need to go get a goalie. They need to go get a goalie. Kevin Lankinen. Oh my God, he's not it. We gotta go get a goalie. He's not Crow. Oh, Crow, my God, we need to go get another goalie. Crow, my God. Oh my God, we need Crawford. We need another goalie. This guy ain't it. Motherfucker, Kevin Lankinen won a gold freaking medal at the World Cup from 2 years ago. Shut down Team Russia. Shut them out. Their top line was Nikita Kucherov, arguably the best player in hockey, or one of the top 5 best players in hockey right now, on the defending Stanley Cup champion. Evgeny Malkin, 3-time Stanley Cup champion, and Alexander Ovechkin, that little guy named Alexander Ovechkin, the guy who, bank on it, will pass Wayne Gretzky as the all-time goal scorer in league history. He's at like 730 some goals now. He only needs about 170 more goals to pass Wayne. He will pass Wayne Gretzky. Bank on it. If you can bet on that now, bet on it. Everyone's like, oh, well, he's not going to pass Gretzky. He's not. No, he's going to pass Gretzky. No one will probably ever come close to the points record, but Ovechkin is going to break that goals record. He's going to. Ovi, I think, is what, 36? He averages, he's been averaging about somewhere between 25 and 30 goals a year. So if he plays 6 more years to age 42, he needs, like, what did I say? Needs about 170 goals to catch him. So if he averages 25 goals a season times 6, so every 2 seasons, that's 50 goals. He'll be there in 5 seasons, 4 seasons maybe, depending. So get ready, kids, because that record, Gretzky's goal record's going to fall. Just telling you right now. But to my point, Kevin Lankinen shut out Team Russia when their top line had the future all-time goal scorer in league history, a 3-time Stanley Cup champion in Evgeny Malkin, and Stanley Cup champion and top 5 player in the world right now, arguably, Nikita Kucherov. Arguably the best winger in the NHL right now. Arguably. McDavid is a center, right? So you can't, if you remove McDavid, who's better than Kucherov? Panarin? Like, who would you rather have? I don't think you're taking Kane over Kucherov just because of age. I mean, I think it's arguable right now if you would take Kane or a Panarin over Kane. Just because age, Panarin's younger. Panarin's got like 60 points in 39 games this year. That's 2 points a night. Kane doesn't have that. I think Kane's played almost 50 games. I think he's played in every game. I think he's sitting around 60 points. So he's played about 10 more games than Panarin, and Panarin has just as many points. Again, that just goes to show you what a awful trade Stan Bowman made 4 years ago. Was it? I think it was 4 years ago now. Yeah. So again, I don't really have much to say about this game, guys. I mean, like I said, Boqvist is out, broke his wrist. The defense came through tonight. The guys that have been playing well, your future, your Brandon Hagels scored. Kirby Dach picked up an assist. Kalynuk scored. Hinostroza, a guy that you want to bring back to be a future piece, got an assist. DeBrincat got an assist. Kane got an assist. You know, I think you got what you wanted from the guys that you wanted to see it from, other than Dylan Strome, who was a -3. Honestly, if I'm trading, if I'm Stan Bowman, Dylan Strome's going, and Dominik Kubalik are going. I'm bringing Lucas Reichel over to play, and I'm bringing in the 2 Russians. And like I said, I'm playing Nylander. I want to know what I got in Nylander. And if Nylander doesn't have it, well, then I'm probably going to move on from him too. But I don't know. I haven't seen enough of Nylander yet to make that call. But I do not like Kubalik. He is a one-dimensional player, and that's being nice. Because even as a one-dimensional player, he's still inconsistent. He's an inconsistent one-dimensional player. That is what he is. You know you got a star in DeBrincat. Doc looks like he's at least a contributor for the most part. Hinostro's a contributor. You've got to find your next elite player at your forward level. You have to. Because I don't know if Kirby Dach's that guy. I don't. Maybe he is, but I don't know. DeBrincat, sure, he's elite. But you have to keep in mind, Kane is going to start to decline. If Taves comes back, he's going to decline. He's not going to be his old self. And if he is, he won't be for much longer. You have to go and find your next superstar to pair with Alex DeBrincat. And you may need more than another superstar, but you at least need another one. You've got really good complementary pieces in Doc, Hinostroza, Hagel, Suter. Those are great players. Guys that are complementary. David Camp, even as a bottom 6 defensive forward, great. But I don't think Strome is a future here, and I don't think Kubalik has a future here. Both of those players, they remind me of like Bell and Arneson. Like they're guys that, yeah, they can produce points, but as soon as you trade them somewhere else, they kind of fall off the face of the earth. And that's what happened with the Hawks. They got rid of Bell and Arneson. They got their top draft picks that came in, and those top draft picks were Kane and Taves, and they haven't looked back since until now. That's where we're at. You've got a lot of, again, hope is there. But you've got to start making tough decisions that are not going to be popular among some of the fans. And if that's me, I'm moving on from Kubalik and I'm moving on from Strome. I want to add draft capital for that 2022 draft. and I want to get even younger than I am right now. We're gonna take Taves and Kane to another championship, and maybe Duncan Keith as well. But we gotta start adding elite offensive talent. Elite. So yes. And honestly, I like Nikita Zadorov, but I'm okay if he gets traded too, because to me he's a third pair defenseman on a good team, which is what we want to be, right? We want to be a good team. So, you know, I'm willing to trade him. I'm not willing to pay him $5 million, which is the rumor, which is what he's wanting. He is not worth anywhere close to $5 million. He's not worth he's not worth 4 million. He's worth at most 3.5 at most, especially in a flat cap. So we'll see what they do there. Again, it was Tampa Bay, guys. Like, it's a rough game. We're 500 now. To me, we need to basically, if you're a Hawks fan, you should be kind of rooting for them to lose the rest of the season. You should be. You want them to, like, and that's the thing. So when I talk, like I mentioned it earlier, about sucking next year to get a high draft pick and then to somehow acquire, trading Kubalik for another first round pick next year, trading Strome for a second round pick or whatever you can get for him, right? You want to suck, but you also want your young talent to keep developing, right? And that's part of sucking. You get rid of a Nikita Zadorov and you play more rookie defensemen than you normally would, which is going to result in more defensive breakdowns. But that's going to make your defense better because, one, you're going to realize who on the defense is worth keeping and who isn't. And two, it's going to get your defense more experienced. Your young D is going to develop quicker and faster that way. And you're going to know, out of all of these plethora of defensive prospects, who you can get rid of that's not going to turn into the next Panarin, right? That's what you want to do. You don't want to fuck up another trade like that. And in this regard, we knew who Panarin was, but we had an idiot for a GM. That should scare you. Like, that's something that scares me, is that you've got all of these young players. You're not playing all of them because you have fucking Calvin DeHorrible, and you're not like, well, we can't sit Calvin DeHorrible. He's horrible, but we can't sit him because he's a veteran. Fuck that. Sit the bastard. He's no better than one of the rookies. He isn't. And he is not a part of your future. Sit him. He's been injured. He was injured the last 2 years in a row with shoulder problems. Sit him. We're not going to the playoffs. Have I said sit him yet? Sit him. Play your rookies. See what they have. Jesus. This is not complicated, Coach Clitoris. It's not. Bowman, hello, not complicated. And I'm sorry for the language on that, folks, but if you were wondering what my nickname for Jeremy Colleton is, well, now you know. Anyway, as I was saying, the final games, we should be rooting for them to lose because we want high draft capital, right? The Blackhawks right now are sitting with the 13th overall pick in the draft. That's 4 spots higher than last year. And it looks like they could pick as high as, well, I should clarify. So they have the 13th overall pick. Phoenix or Arizona is, I believe, right behind them with the 12th pick. They have voided that pick because of their cheating at the draft. So technically, the Blackhawks are picking 12th because they'll get the 12th player selected. But they can pick as high as 10th. or the 10th overall pick, because I think there is a very good possibility that Vancouver, who has, I believe, 8 games in hand on them, 7 or 8 games in hand on them, can jump them. And there is an opportunity for Calgary to jump them as well. And not only that, don't sleep on Detroit either. Detroit's only, I believe, 3 games back, so 6 points of the Hawks in the standings. And with, 7, 8 games left, if the Hawks lose all of them, there's a good chance maybe even Detroit jumps you. But I think at least to get a top 10 pick, that would be stellar. So to me, I'm rooting for the Hawks to lose the remainder of the games this year. I want to see, and again, I need to emphasize this. When I say I want them to lose every game, that does not mean I want them to be like awful. I want to see Hagel continue to produce. I want to see Hinostroza continue to produce. I want Kalynuk to continue to produce. I want all of the rookies basically to continue to develop and produce, right? That's what I want. But I still want them to lose. You can have both. There is no one or the other, like some people seem to think. You can't both suck and develop players at the same time. No. Teams that eventually turn into dynasties develop players and suck and continue to add huge draft capital or lots of draft capital and high-end draft capital. And then that high-end draft capital comes in with your younger players that you've been developing while you suck. And all of a sudden, you're ready to go. That's what happened with Chicago. Your Bolins, your Bickles, your Bufflins, your Niemis, your Crawfords, all of those guys were in the system. Duncan, Keith, and Brent Seabrook. They had been in the system for 3 seasons before Kane and Taves arrived and you finally hit it full stride? That's what they need to do. That's where we're at right now. And that's what we need to do. We need to replicate what we did 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And if we do it correctly, we'll have another dynasty on our hands. But you've got to go and get more top-end talent. There's no reason Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, and Duncan Keith can't get a 4th title before they retire, especially for Keith. Kane and Taves could potentially win 5, maybe even 6. I've always thought that Kane and Taves would get 6 before they were retired. Kane's 32. I think Taves is same age, 32, 33. Those, players play till 42, 43 now. So if you figure both of them can do that, that's very likely that they could win at least 2 more championships, if not 3. And in the sense of Keith should at least be able, I think, to win 1 more championship, if not a 5th. So again, that's the goal. It's to continue on the legacy, but to do it, we've got to kind of, take 1 step back to take 3 steps forward. That's kind of what we're doing. That's what I'm suggesting we doing. By moving on from Kubalik, by moving on from Strome and creating roster spots that we need, bringing in new players, and then, hurting ourselves in the short term by getting rid of them and developing the players, which has growing pains, we will be better off for it the following year. Because if you get a top 10, maybe even top 15 pick in that 2022 draft, that player will be on your roster the following year. And the Hawks will have Lucas Reichel, this year's first-round pick, plus potentially their first-round pick from this year's draft also on the roster. And, maybe Adam Boqvist is still around, and Kirby Dach. You'll have 5 first-round picks potentially, all top 10 picks on your roster. They should be competitive at that point. And by competitive, I don't mean like a fringe playoff team or a playoff team that, gets knocked out in the first or second round, like a competitive contender. So that's the goal. Anyway, with that, everybody, again, Hawks lose 7-4. Your goal scorers, once again, were Duncan Keith, Wyatt Kalynuk, Brandon Hagel, and Dominik Kubalik. The next game coming up here, I believe, is Thursday against the Florida Panthers. So we will see how that goes. Again, hoping we lose. You should be too. And yeah, we'll go from there, and we'll see you Friday morning with a review of Game 50 of the 2020-21 Chicago Blackhawks season. Until then, everybody, stay safe and let's go Hawks.